Hey, Wembrook World Entertainment, and continuing the course of Hollywood doing nothing but remakes and reboots and reimaginings and sequels and prequels. Here we go again, because out of nowhere, we're being told that Legendary is going to reboot Buck Rogers. That's right, Buck Rogers. Now, there's a lot of you who may not know who Buck Rogers is. Buck Rogers basically started off in a comic book, became other things, and then, of course, became a show. The show, if you'd never seen it, actually had also in it Mark Lenard. Who's Mark Lenard for the people who were going, why does that name sound familiar? He played Sarek in Star Trek. The proper Sarek, the real Sarek. Not Strange New Worlds or Discovery, Alex Kurtzman Sarek, but the proper Sarek, Spock's actual father, Sarek, who played a character who, for reasons best known to themselves, his head could come off. Yes, you heard that correctly. The character he played could remove his head. If I remember correctly, I think the head could float around. So, yeah. Buck Rogers was weird. Anyway, it's a space adventure. It, of course, had the robot in it, which everyone remembers going, bitty bitty, what's up, Buck? That whole thing. So, Legendary's going to do this, but the writer for it is going to be the writer of Deadpool and Wolverine and Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, Zeb Wells. So, let's look at this, because it's the question of, do people want this? Yes, it's another reboot, but at the same time, it's the reboot of something really old and something that not a lot of people outside of kind of our type of circles would even know of. So, it could be one of them things that could work really well, but at the same time, it could be something that just ends up being like, is this really something you want to do? Let's look at it anyway. So, Legendary acquired the rights to the iconic sci-fi character Buck Rogers 5 years ago. And the movie is finally taking shape with the addition of Deadpool and Wolverine writer Zeb Wells. In 2020, it was reported that the studio had plans for the character to appear in a movie, live-action series, and anime series. It's unclear whether those small-screen projects are still in active development, but Wells boarding the character's feature makes a big step forward. Now, the first part about all of that you hear is they never actually clarified whether the movie is meant to be live-action or not. They said movie, live-action series, and an animated series. So, is the movie going to be live-action? I suppose we'll find out soon enough. By the way, they did do an original movie. There was, I think, an animated series. Then they did the movie. And then, I don't think it was a movie that came out on the big screen. I'm not sure, like, before my time even. And the series then, of course, which was, I believe, the actors from the movie as well. So, plot details are being kept under wraps, but Wells has plenty of material to mine with a Buck Rogers movie. The character debuted in the 1922 novella Armageddon 2419 AD by Philip Francis Nolan, published in Amazing Stories. So, Buck Rogers is super old. So, a former World War I pilot, Rogers is trapped in a mine, exposed to radioactive gas, and awakens in the 25th century after 500 years in suspended animation. He joins a rebellion against oppressive rulers, notably the Han Airlords. Yes, it's kind of starting to sound a bit kind of modern day-ish. So the character gained fame through the 1929 comic strip Buck Rogers in the 25th Century AD, the first science fiction comic, running until 1967. Buck has also appeared in the 1939 film serial radio series from 1932 to 1947, and TV adaptations including Buck Rogers in the 25th Century from 1979 to 1981. His adventures typically involve space travel, futuristic technology, and battles against tyrants, with allies like Wilma Deering and Dr. Hewer. Is Dr. Hewer Mark Lenard's character? No, I don't think so. The character inspired sci-fi tropes and influenced later franchises like Star Wars, So seeing how his reimagining for a contemporary audience promises to be a lot of fun. Wells has helped out on many Marvel Studios movies and TV shows, including Thor, Love and Thunder. I wouldn't have put that in there. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, wouldn't have put that in there. And The Marvels, also wouldn't have put that in there. He was also the head writer on Marvel Animation's Marvel Zombie TV series. I wouldn't have put that in there either. And recently wrapped up a controversial run on the Amazing Spider-Man comic book. So everything they've just listed has been a failure. Everything. It's like, dude, you could have just ran with, he wrote Deadpool and Wolverine, the $1 billion movie that people liked. But no, you listed every failure that they've put out in the last while. So it's like, what in God's name would you list that for and try and get people pumped for the bloody idea of him writing a Buck Rogers story? So, as you can see in that article, I do know there are other articles, but I don't think they mention either whether or not this movie is meant to be live action or not. I'm assuming it's live action, but it's interesting that they did not clarify whether it's live action, whether it's animation, whether it's that 3D animation, whether it's meant to be for the big screen, or are they, well, you'd assume it would be for the big screen. Then of course the question is it going to be Legendary on their own, or will this be one of those Legendary and Warner Brothers ideas, because Warner Brothers usually works with Legendary. So what direction are they going in? Now obviously as well, there's no casting information being given here, nothing at all, so we've no idea of who they're looking for, what type of people they're looking for. We've no idea whether or not this is, so far anyway, planned to be a standalone movie, or whether it plans to, one, set up the live action series or animated series, if that's happening at all, as well as, is it setting up like a trilogy, or is it just going to be this one-off, with, if it does well, they'll look into possibly doing a sequel? We don't know. There's really no real information other than it's got a writer and who the owners of the rights are, which is Legendary. Again though, there's no director, by the way, attached to this as of yet, or producers or anything like that. Possibly because they're going to wait to see, or is it the case of they're going to wait to see whether or not they're going to be working with Warner Brothers on this or not. So it'll be interesting to see who they get to direct it. It'll be interesting to see who they cast in it. But it's a bigger question of, is it the right time to make something like Buck Rogers, and how exactly do you do that? It's so off its time. How do you kind of try and make that for, I suppose, a modern audience? What is the modern take for something like Buck Rogers? That really is going to be the big question. And will it work? There's every chance it could work, because as you see there, it's such an old property that, I think it has a better chance of succeeding, being the fact that not a ton of people will remember Buck Rogers. So good luck to them. But what about you guys? Are you interested in this? Do you remember Buck Rogers? Did you ever know about Buck Rogers? Do let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out memberships, hit the hype button, all that good stuff. It really does help the channel. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.